Hello everybody, this is Spitfire and today I am bringing you Kerbal Space Program. It is a pretty awesome game. Over at the right you can see what the Kerbals are. But anyways, this is pre-recorded because I had some issues with the audio. But anyways, I have a current save, but I'm not going to be using that. I'm going to start a new one. Putting my name in there like you should, and then choosing the flag. Now, I don't really like the flags that they have to choose from, but I went ahead and just chose one. I was thinking about the default one and the one that has a picture of Kerbin. Taking a while, I guess. Taking my time. There we go. Alright. But this game is currently in an alpha stage. It's only got a sandbox mode right now. It doesn't have the career mode implemented, but it's on version 20.2, and I'm clicking start there, overwriting, and here is your basic assembly place. Got the VAB, vehicle assembly building, the spaceplane hangar, and I'm probably not going to be dealing with space planes for a while. And then you've got the tracking station and the launch pad. Going into the tracking station to just kind of show you the planet Kerbin. As you can see, it's much like Earth. Space. But anyways, the moon is over there. And this is Kerbin. And in the tracking station, you can see all your flights in progress. You've got, at the top, you can see you've got satellites, rovers, landers, pods. That looks like a different satellite, I guess. And then moon base, Kerbins, and flags. And then I'm going into the vehicle assembly building. One thing that you have to do on your rocket: put a command pod, or not to say a command pod, but a way of controlling the ship, because it won't let you put anything else on it until you do that. But today, all I will be doing is building a satellite, putting it into orbit around Kerbin. Kerbin? It's Kerbin. Yeah, it's Kerbin. Alright. Sorry about that. And as you can see, I've chosen a pretty basic satellite. And I'm just going to go over the controls pretty much here. You just click and drag and move it around, and then you click to place it back. Then you've got propulsion, which just has all your rockets, all your fuel tanks, and yeah, you've got the main fuel, and then you've got RCS, and then you've got solid rocket boosters. One thing that you need to put on is an advanced, or not necessarily an advanced, but an SAS module, because that will, it's kind of like autopilot. But I'm putting RCS thrusters on here because those help when you're out in space. Then I'm turning on the symmetry mode to help get it all even. And then since I do have RCS, I've got to put on some RCS fuel. Otherwise it'd be kind of useless. And I've got to put on a decoupler, which will, as it sounds, it'll just break away whatever's below it. and then you will be left with controlling whatever is above it. Now this rocket that I'm about to build may seem like a little bit of overkill to get the satellite into space, but it pretty much is. It pretty much is overkill to just get a satellite into space. But I will probably be using that to get a space station with actual people in it up in orbit around Kerbin next time. And you're about to see what large of a fuel tank I'm about to use. These. Those, I think those are too big at first, but then I realized those are my only choice pretty much. And I'm only going to put 2 on there because, again, it would be overkill. But anyways, I messed up a little here. I should have put the radial decouplers on, which will separate things that are on the side of the rocket off of the main rocket. I'm correcting it soon here. Pretty sure. Oh yeah. First I'm connecting the fuel tank so that way the middle rocket will be the last to run out. And yes, I'm putting on the radial decouplers now. Let me know if you guys wanna see my build process. I'll probably skip the build process on a lot of these, but some of the more complicated ones I might still do the build process on it, but since this is the first video, I will be doing the construction of my first, or not my first rocket, but my first recorded rocket. And I've got the radial decouplers on, and I still have to make those aerodynamic, but first I will make this look like more of a satellite. What I'm putting on right now is just a communicator, and just a little lopsided, but nah, what are you gonna do? And one thing that is gonna mess me up later, which I now look back and realize that I should have put on. I'll let you guys try to figure it out, but it'll be shown later, and it causes me some issues. And over at the right, you can see the staging of all these parts. I'm making these 2 rockets aerodynamic. I don't think I'm pretty sure it does matter because those are flat surfaces and could easily catch wind. And since I want all 3 of those rockets to fire at the same time, I'm moving them down to stage 2. That was fast talking right there. And then those radial decouplers will decouple, and then that top one will separate the satellite from the rocket and put it into orbit. Of course, you've got to name your rocket. And here I'm just gonna do Kerbal because it's just a satellite. I'm never using it again. And I misspelled Kerbal. Great. Way to go. Way to go. Then okay, I'm thinking that it's not spelled right. And then I go with it. I'll fix that once I get back on. But I'm hoping to do pretty much all of my flights on camera just to give you guys a look into what I'm doing. And here is the launch pad. At the top you can see what what your altitude is, and then at the bottom, oh god, I forget the technical name of it, but it just tells you what direction you're going and at what degree you're doing it. And at the right of that is the G-force. Currently we have 1 because we are on Kerbal. And then to the left you have the throttle. Then you have the orbital map over on the far left. And as you can see, you're just launching off this little what looks like Africa. Actually, that looks a lot like Africa. But anyways, what you're gonna want to do is turn the SAS on. And I have rockets on here that provide gimbaling, so putting wings on this would not do much good. And then you've got to throttle up, and of course you got to give yourself a countdown. 3, 2, 1, and I'm off. Great. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go, I guess. Good enough, I'm gonna call it. And as you can see, the SAS is taking us straight up. And over on the left, you can see our liquid fuel. And one of them is burning slower than the others. That is partly because it's a different engine and the other fuel tanks are lending fuel to it. And at about 10,000 feet, you're going to want to do a gravity turn, which will help make your orbit. And I'm launching them at the sun, apparently. But yeah, I guess this game, I didn't know how long this game had been out. I thought that it was just out for the past couple months, but apparently it's been out for, well, in alpha stage at least, for probably almost a year. Which I had no idea, but the people that built this are a group called Squad, and they are based down in Mexico, I believe. But anyways, here you can see me doing my gravity turn. I'm holding it at about 35 degrees, and here you can see my Kerbonaut, which is the highest point of our, so far it's just a splashdown in the ocean. And I'm going to throttle down a bit here, so I don't push out my apoapsis too far, because that's not good. But if you're going to want to achieve orbit, you're going to want to burn at your apoapsis, but you're going to want to get your apoapsis out of Kerbin atmosphere, which is 70,000 meters, or 70 kilometers as a normal person would say. But I am not normal. Yeah, but I've got to throttle down a lot because my apoapsis is getting a little too far out. Again, this rocket is a little overkill. Not even just a little overkill. It's overkill just to get a satellite into space. But anyways, it did the job. Turning on SAS. Throttling back up. Got a little fuel left, but that's not really a concern. And here you can add maneuvers, which will kind of show you, if you burn at a certain point, what it will do to your orbit. So you can just kind of plan ahead to see what you're going to do to achieve an orbit that you want. But right here you can see that on the little ball down there, I've got to find out the technical term for it. But anyways, it's it puts on a marker to show where I want to burn, and then I burn a little bit above that because I want to get my periapsis, which is the lowest point of our orbit now, and I have just ditched the uh, 2 side rockets, and I haven't noticed the tumbling yet, and tumbling, but still, I am about to achieve an orbit, although I might cut the engine soon just to get to my apoapsis. Yep, I didn't cut them completely, but pretty low just to keep me on target. And I should probably have deleted that maneuver because I don't really need it anymore since I've passed it now. But yeah, if you don't have Kerbal Space Program, then I would recommend getting it. You could spend hours upon hours on it. It is just so addicting. And then my eventual goal is to land on one certain planet or a moon of another certain planet. I haven't decided which, but the reason that I want to do that is because the planet has more gravity than Kerbin, and then one of the moons has like 3% of Kerbal's gravity, which is just a challenge to land on. But as you can see, I've kind of gotten myself into a little bit of a wonky orbit. My apoapsis is just about twice as big. That's never good. But I am going to time warp up to there, and then I will burn to make my periapsis bigger. And I'm back at my apoapsis, and I'm about to burn. But first, one thing that I've got to do is flip myself around, and then I notice, why aren't my controls responding? What's going on? Is my rocket broke? Is my game broke? Is my keyboard broke? Something's broke. And then I try to check something. I see if it's like a time warp issue. It's not. I'm seeing if it's like an SAS issue, possibly. But like, I mean, not even the docking controls are responding. And then I realize I have messed up a bit. And what I think is I can just get I'm out of an electric charge, as you can see on the resources at the top right. Electric charge is at a 0, which is never good. And so what I think I can do is just go onto the sunny side of Kerbal and just, just deploy my solar panels and get some sunlight. But then things go wrong again. Where was that noise? Sorry, I heard a noise. But it's in my head. And I've got plenty of fuel left. Haven't even used one of the fuel tanks. And I don't know why I have all this in here. I should have just time warped onto the other side. There we go. And I'm on the sunny side of Kerbal now. And I'm going to deploy my solar panels here, but then there's no option to deploy them, and I'm confused. But then I realize you need an electric charge to deploy it. And then I realize I have no electric charge. So this is perfect. This was a total failure. Way to go, Spitfire. You've managed to mess up launching a satellite into orbit. And I have fitted a little generator onto it, which will just generate electricity. I probably should have put batteries on it too. Note to self, batteries go on satellites. And then I'm just adding another maneuver to get myself back into orbit, which we saw how I got into orbit before. But this orbit is going to be a much better orbit than my last one. It's actually going to be pretty symmetrical in terms of distance. And I've achieved an orbit. Yay! And then as you can see, my apoapsis and periapsis are about 60,000 apart. So I'm going to delete that, time warp to my apoapsis, and add a maneuver to where it will bring my Kerbal periapsis about the same distance away as my apoapsis, which you want for an efficient orbit around planet Kerbal. Kerbal, home to the Kerbals. And at the beginning of the episode, you saw what the Kerbals look like. And hopefully, next episode, we will be able to do a flight with an actual Kerbonaut. I don't know if that's their name, but I like to call them Kerbonauts. And apparently I can't delete that maneuver until I've passed it. And then I've already burned a little, so I've got my periapsis a little bit bigger. And then, but I still want to get it pretty much even. And as you can also tell, I have fixed my mic issues. It turns out my microphone was working at 6% volume. Now it's at 82. I don't want to put it at full volume because then I feel like it's going to be too loud now. But anyways, back to Kerbal Space Program. Enough about me. It's all about Kerbals. Then I'm burning a little bit, trying to get these apses close. And they're only about 1,500 apart, so that's pretty good. It's pretty spot on for considering that we're in space. Space. Some may get that reference, some may not. It's okay, I will not judge you. And I did not forget an electric charge. And as you can see, this is when the RCS is helpful. When you're in space, you have nothing to turn with, so the RCS thrusters will turn you and turn you. And I'm going upright. I know it's kind of hard to see. Next time I will add lights, and so I will be able to turn them on. And I am about to deploy, or not deploy, but detach. Deploy and detach. I'm just kidding, just detach. Lots of D's there. And I have detached the main engine, so now I am officially a satellite in space. Although this satellite, right now, is useless because there is no one to communicate with. and I'm probably not going to be, and I'm not going to be able to move it now, really, without just using the RCS thrusters. But I'm going to the sunny side of Kerbin to deploy everything on my satellite. And as you can see on my satellite, I've added two things on the sides. They're just little generators that are efficient enough, apparently, to generate electricity for 10 years. But after I deploy these solar panels, I will not need them, because even if I do go to the dark side, they would still be deployed. And once I get back to the sunny side, they will just gather up the solar energy. And I'm pulling out the panels here, and they orientate themselves towards the sunlight. And I'm just showing the generators on the sides of my satellite. And on the top there, that's going to be deployed soon, is just a communicator. And as you can see, it just looks like a dish. But yeah, this has been Kerbal Space Program, and that is a nice looking satellite, and I'm trying to take a screenshot of it, but I am unable to. I think I found the screenshot though, but anyways, Kerbal Space Program is a pretty awesome game. I would recommend checking it out or staying tuned in my videos. But anyways, I will catch you guys next time on Kerbal Space Program. This has been Spitfire. Goodbye.